So a client reached out wondering if I could do alterations on this suit that she had got for her 60th birthday. I was like, okay, come on, 60th birthday. But I was like, first, you need to give me the map to the fountain of youth that you were drinking from, because 60 where? Anyways, I asked her what was going on, what she needed, and she was like, the suit was super long. It fit, but it was super long. I was like, okay, come in, let's see what's going on. So she came in. This is her in the suit, and for sure, she was swimming in it. Pant legs were super long, the sleeves were super long, and so she wanted me to shorten those. And yeah, I was like, okay. So took the measurements for where she wanted the sleeves to fall as well as the pants, and then I went to work.
So I first start with studying how the original hemline was finished, and looking at it, it was finished by using a serger and then sewn down. I then go ahead and measure what the new hemline is supposed to be, but I add an extra inch, or depending on how much of a fold I'm going to have. So for this one, the original fold is about an inch. So I will go ahead and add an inch to the measurement, mark that down. I use tailor's chalk, mark where I'm going to be cutting, and then later on cut. This set of pants has rhinestone, as you can see, and we have to work around the rhinestone. So I have to remove the rhinestone. This is what I'm doing so I can make my work easier. Fortunately, this rhinestone is sewn on. Sometimes you have a case where the rhinestone is glued on, and that just offers another set of issues. But thank God this was sewn on. So once I removed that rhinestone, went ahead, cut where I needed to cut, and I have 1 inch extra for the fold that I'm going to work with. And so there we have it, and I'm just showing you 1 inch. I then go ahead and fold that new hemline and pin with ball pins as shown. That's 1 inch fold. And I do this because in this next clip, I'm actually pressing down that hem fold, and the balls on the pins are plastic and I don't want them to melt. So this is how I do it. You can, if you have an easy way of doing this, you can definitely do it however way you want to do it. Once I press, I place the pins now going horizontal, and I go ahead and sew down using my cover stitch machine. When we first studied the original hem, we saw that it was finished with a serger, but I have this machine. It gives a nice clean look, and you can see this is the top, this is the back. I love the finish, and so that is why I'm using this one. On to shortening my client's jacket sleeves. So I'm just transferring the measurements that we had measured where she wants the jacket to hit on her arm. Again, you want to study how the jacket and the original sleeve was made, the measurements of the fold, and so all of those measurements I am just transferring to where the new sleeve length is going to be. So I'm marking, measuring out and marking with my tailor's chalk and going ahead and cutting. I'm also measuring button placement, how far apart they are, how far from the hemline they are. So all those things you have to keep in mind so that it can look as close to the original as possible. Again, we have the rhinestone that is in the way, so we want to remove that so we have a good amount of space to work with. Again, here I am studying the original end of the sleeve, and you can see that it has some kind of a vent, but where I cut, the seam allowance is too short. So I am going to kind of forfeit the original vent style and just have it all closed, but place the buttons back on so it looks like there's actually a vent there. The lining is about an inch shorter than the main sleeve fabric, and so I am just shortening the lining here by an inch. And then my same process of folding and pinning in preparation to press down that hem edge of the sleeve so that it's easier for me to work with. Listen, if you can do it any other way, if you find there's an easier way, please do that. But this is what works for me. And so I just keep doing it. And so here I'm pressing down and then removing the pins, and I still have that crisp edge, and it's easier for me to work with and to see. So I did that for the lining, and I just pushed that lining back into the sleeve, and now I'm working with the top of the sleeve, and that's the main fabric. Same process, just so I have an easier workspace or a cleaner, crisp edge to work with. So removing the pins, and this is the edge that I'm talking about. So now we're turning the sleeve inside out, and I believe the original finish had some interfacing to add some body to the edge of the sleeve as well as to make it stick together. I do not have that, so I'm using hem tape and just a small amount so that I can, again, keep that edge line nice and firm, and so that it doesn't move out of shape. So this is hem tape, it's double-sided, and so once I iron that on right on the edge and remove the film, I'm going to lightly press that down, and what it does is it just keeps that fold together and helps the sleeve edge to stop from shifting around. Once that's done, we're ready to attach the lining to the main sleeve. And to do that, there is a seam right on the edge on the inside of most jackets. So we will just seam rip that open, turn the jacket sleeve inside out, and then we will work through that hole that I'm opening up. So I place my hand through and pinch the lining and the main fabric edge, and I pin about 1/2 inch in so that it just secures both of those pieces. Once I am done with that, I go ahead and sew those down, and that is pretty much the alteration. So you can see I've already sewn that down. This is what it looks like. And I just go ahead, close up that hole and give it a final press. Now onto placing the buttons. Remember, I had measured to figure out how far apart the buttons were on the original hem that we cut. And so I went ahead, placed those points, and now I'm just sewing back those buttons. So there are all the buttons sewn, looking brand new. And remember, there is no vent for this sleeve because there wasn't enough seam allowance left past where I had actually cut. Finally, if you find that there are any empty spaces, you could fill those spaces with the leftover rhinestone that you actually cut.
This is after the alterations were done. You can't even tell that the suit was altered. Just look at that. I love this suit. I'm actually gonna get me one of these. Yeah. So she came in for her final fitting, and this is her. So much of a difference from where we started. This is her for her 60th birthday. Happy birthday, ma'am. And before and after, how did I do?